What's up, Jens here with Game Explicit, and welcome to part 2 of the Perfect Media Server. As you can see, we already moved our system into a new case, which is the Roswell RSV L4500. I also installed 4 1TB hard drives for the purpose of this video. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to install the operating system and how to prepare your hard drives for the server. So let's jump right into the computer. Alright guys, so we're here in the computer, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to go and grab the operating system ISO. In this case, we're going to be using Ubuntu server. So we're just going to go to Google, and then we're going to look for Ubuntu server. All right, so we're gonna go into download, and we're gonna grab Ubuntu server 18.04.2 LTS for the long-term support. So we're just gonna grab that really quickly, and we also need a utility called Rufus. And this is going to help us create a bootable ISO on your USB stick memory. So what we're going to be doing is a bootable USB key to install the operating system into the server. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to go, I'm just going to grab the portable. I think it's easier. All right. So that's, with that downloaded, let me go look for it. All right, that's the ISO of Ubuntu, and now we need Rufus, which is here. All right. So we're just gonna launch Rufus. It's gonna ask for authorization. Just say yes. I don't want to check for updates, not right now. All right. So this is my USB key. It's a Kingston 32 gig, and we're gonna go select, and then we're gonna go search on the desktop. There we go, Ubuntu Live Server. Just hit open. It's gonna automatically put all the default settings, and that's good enough for us for now. I'm just gonna hit start. So just keep in mind that your USB key needs to be empty, because this is going to erase everything from your USB key. So just make sure that's empty, and then you can just hit continue or yes. Right in ISO mode, that's okay. Again, it's gonna tell you that all the data is gonna be erased. Just go ahead and hit OK. So this is gonna create a bootable USB key that we're gonna use to boot from to install the Ubuntu server. All right, guys, once the USB key is done, we can just go ahead and hit close. We're gonna extract our USB from our computer, and we're gonna plug it into the server and boot from it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and once that's done, I'll be right with you. All right, so once you're booted into the USB key, you're gonna see this menu here, and we're just gonna go ahead and hit install Ubuntu server. That's gonna load the OS. All right, so we are in the main in Ubuntu server installation menu, and here you just choose your language. I'm going to choose English. That's the layout of your keyboard. My keyboard is US, so I'm just going to hit done. And yes, I want to install Ubuntu. All right, so here is very important that we configure our server with a static IP address instead of a with DHCP. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click enter, and then we're gonna go into IPv4. We're gonna hit enter again, and we're gonna go ahead and choose manual. All right, so I'm gonna hit tab, and here we're gonna put the subnet of our network. In my case, my network is in the address of 192. Oh, sorry about that. In 192.168.0. So this is gonna be .0, and the class is 24. Then the address is gonna be the IP address of the server. So I'm just gonna choose 192.168.0.10. Your gateway is going to be the IP address of your router. In my case, is 192.168.0.1. And the DNS servers, I'm going to choose Google's DNS server, which is 8.8.8.8. And as a supplementary one, I'm going to put 1.1.1.1. These are very fast and accurate servers, so that's why I use them most of the time. All right, the rest is okay. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And hit tab, and continue. We're not going to be using a proxy. Yeah, that mirror is good. This is just for updates and to download some extra material if we need. Okay, so it's time to format the hard drive. In this case, I suggest that you, in your server, you only connect the hard drive that you're going to be installing the OS into. In this case, I'm using a SSD. So I'm going to be using the entire disk. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. So you can see here that I have multiple hard drives, and well, my OS hard drive is this one, the 16 gig one. The other ones we're going to be used for our server. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter for the first hard drive. Everything else looks good, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. It's going to tell you that all the information in your hard drive is going to be erased, so make sure that that hard drive or SSD is empty. So we're just going to go ahead and hit continue. All right, so it's time to create your user. In my case, I'm just going to put my name, the server name. You can choose whatever you want. I just like Japanese names, so that's why I put that. This is going to be your username that you're going to be using to log into the server. So choose something that it's easily to remind. Now this is also going to be the password that you're going to be using to log into the server. So make sure you remember it. And we're gonna go ahead and hit tab and done. In this case, it's asking us to install the OpenSSH server, which we are actually gonna be needing. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit spacebar to select it. And the OpenSSH is gonna enable us to log into the server remotely with a utility that I use, so we can actually copy paste commands and we don't have to write them all. So it's important that we install this. I don't have an SSH identity, so I'm just gonna select no and hit tab and hit done. All right, so here is asking me if I want to install any of these utilities. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit tab because we really don't need any of those utilities for what we're trying to do here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit done. All right, so it's gonna finish installing the OS, and yeah, it's gonna ask us to reboot. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit reboot. All right, so at this point is you can remove your USB key from your computer and just hit enter afterwards. All right, it's setting up the SSH, which is good. I think it's done, so I'm just hit enter. Okay, no, it's still going. All right, so we are going to log in with the previously created user. Put your password. You're not gonna see anything when you type, but it's okay. Just type it up and hit enter and you're gonna log in. All right, so we are in the welcome screen for Ubuntu server, and it's telling us right there that we need to update it. We have 98 packages to be updated. So to do that, we're gonna first log in as root. So I'm gonna be using the sudo command. So that's sudo-i, hit enter, put your password, and now we have root access. Now we're gonna go ahead and update the server with the command apt-update to update the repositories first. And now we're gonna upgrade. So apt upgrade. Do you want to continue? Just hit Y and hit enter. This is gonna download all the updates directly from Ubuntu's website, and it's gonna install all the utilities that we need. All right, that's done now, and we are going to want to reboot the computer now. So we're just gonna type reboot. That's gonna reboot the server. So now that we rebooted the server, we're gonna go ahead and go into your computer and download the an utility called MobaXterm. I'm gonna show you where and how. So we're just gonna go to Google and we're gonna look for MobaXterm. I guess we can go directly into the download section. We're gonna download the free edition for now. I like the portable version. You can download the installer if you want. This utility is gonna enable us to connect directly to the server with the to the SSH server, so that we're able to copy paste the commands directly into the server without having to type them out. All right, so once that's downloaded, put it here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and extract this. So extract, here we go. We can delete that. All right, so we're gonna open the utility. We don't need this anymore. All right, so we have the utility here, and what we're gonna want to do is create a new session. So we go start new session. We're gonna choose SSH, and here we're gonna type the IP address of your server. If you don't remember the IP address of your server, you can always go back to your actual server. I'm gonna log in. And then you type IP and then A. And if you see here, the second one here, that's your server's network. And here you can see the address is 192.168.0.10. So that's the IP address of your server. So we're gonna put that into the utility. .68.0.10. And we're gonna go ahead and just click OK. All right, so as you can see, we are connecting to the server in SSH. We're gonna log in with our user. We're gonna get our password. If you want to save the password, you can save the password. I don't like to do that for security reasons, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit no. All right, so we are logged into a server. Cool. I'm just gonna clear the screen so that we can start fresh. All right, so first thing that we need to do is log in as root or give ourselves root access. So that's sudo-i Put in your password. Cool. Right. Okay, so let's identify our hard disk that we want to use for the server. To do that, the command is ls to list the items in an order way. So that's -la /dev, dev disk by ID, enter. And as you can see, we have 4 Western Digital hard drives right there. If you happen to see something like this with a part 1, it means that your hard drives have partitions on them. Here you don't see that because I previously cleaned their hard drives, so these are really clean hard drives, no partitions, anything on them. So the first thing that we want to do is create some partitions so that we can store files in them. To do that, we're going to use the utility called fdisk. So we're going to go ahead and hit fdisk. Then we're going to select the specific hard drive that we want to work on. In this case, we're going to choose the first one, which is this one. So that's dev/disk/by ID/ and then we can copy. So just select this, select the number and just hit right click and it should copy in there. All right, so we hit enter. And the first command that we want to do is G to generate a new partition table. All right, that's a GPT partition table. Now we're going to create a new partition. So that's N for new. Enter. Partition number. Okay. We're going to choose all the defaults. So this is just enter, enter, and enter. Sometimes you're going to see something like this where it tells you that there's already a partition signature. And in this case, we want to remove it because we're creating a new one. So just hit Y for yes. And now the good thing about this is that right now we haven't done anything to the hard drive. It's just a non-destructive way of partitioning. And to write all of our changes to the hard drive, we're going to choose W to write them out. Once you hit W, all the information on that specific hard drive is going to be deleted. So make sure that those drives are completely empty. And enter. All right, so if we go ahead and you can just hit the up arrow to go back to the previous commands that we use. If we list the drives again, you're going to see that now we have the hard drive and now we have a partition here. All right, so once the partition is made, now we need to create the file system. In this case, we're going to be using Linux file system extension ext4. To do that, the command is mkfs to make file system /t ext4 for the type of file system. Then we're going to choose the drive. So dev/disk/by-id. And here, make sure that you select the partition, so part 1, and not the hard drive. So we're going to select this and then just right click and you should copy. And we go ahead and hit enter. That's going to create the file system for this specific hard drive. Just let it do its thing. Once it's done, it's going to go back to this. All right, so now we have a file system, a partition in our hard drive. Now we're going to have to do this for all our hard drives. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward with the magic of video editing. So enjoy. Alright guys, I finished formatting and making the file system on all 4 hard drives. So as you can see, we have 4 partitions here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 4 hard drives. And now what we need to do is we need to create mount points where we are going to mount this partition so that we can access the space in those hard drives. So what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna create directories where we're gonna be storing this partitions. So to do that is mkdir. And I like to mount them in the default mounting point of Ubuntu, which is /mnt. And I'm gonna name this disk 1, 2, 3, because they're gonna be 3 data disk and 1 disk for parity to like backup, like kind of like a backup. In the future, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So disk 1, 2, and 3. If we hit enter, it's gonna create those directories. And if we go and list them by using this command, we can see that there they are. Disk 1, 2, and 3. Cool. Now we're gonna create a directory for our parity. So it's gonna be parity1. I'm gonna go ahead, hit enter. If we list the items again, you can see disk 1, 2, 3, parity1. All right. So we're also gonna be creating another mount point where we're gonna be pooling all these hard drives so that we can access the entirety of the 3 1 terabyte hard drives, but just from one location. And to do that, we're gonna be using an utility called MERGERFS. And so we need a mounting point for that too. So we do the same thing, mkdir. In the same place, mnt for mount. And I'm gonna call this storage. We go ahead and list the items again. All right, so we're ready. We have our 3 data disks, 1 parity, and our storage mounting point. If you have more than 3 hard drives, of course, you're gonna be creating more mount points. So the only thing you need to do is go back to the command and just hit (4), (5), etc. In this case, we only have 3 data disks, so only 3 mount points. All right, so now it's time to install the utility called MERGERFS. To do that, we're gonna go ahead and type apt install MERGERFS, if I'm correct. Just let me MERGERFS, and we also need another utility called fuse. We hit enter. It's gonna say you want to continue. Yes. I'm gonna let Ubuntu. Okay, it's finished. Now what we're doing is we're gonna edit the FSTAB, which is a configuration document of Ubuntu that tells what hard drives to mount into what directories when the server starts. And to do that, we're gonna use the command nano. And the place where this is stored is /etc/FSTAB. All right, so you're gonna see something like this. We just go here on the 3rd line, and I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste one entry that I have, and you guys can just follow along and repeat the process. So if you see here, basically what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be telling Ubuntu to grab this disk, mount it into the mount point mnt parity1. The file system that we use is ext4. We're going to use default values and then 0, 0. This is a default configuration, so you can just copy the exact configuration. Just make sure to put your specific hard drives here. And to do that, we're gonna use the very handy utility, which is the Explorer. So we have here the Explorer for the server. We're gonna go up, gonna go up again, and we're gonna look for our disks. So that's dev, and then we look for disk by ID, and this is exactly the IDs that we have when we list the items in the command line. So we're gonna choose our first hard drive, which is gonna be our Parity here, and we hit rename, and then right click copy, and then we can just right click and it's gonna paste automatically in there. All right, so that's our first entry, and this is gonna be our Parity drive. We're gonna repeat the same thing with all our other drives. We're just gonna change the mount point and the name of the hard drive. So same thing with this one. We're just gonna go and delete this. We're gonna choose our second partition, rename, and then we're gonna copy. We're gonna paste it there. So this is gonna be our first data disk. Same thing, ext4 default 00. Now we could select this and just copy paste it again. Yeah, so put the cursor there and then just boom. All right, and we're gonna remove, we're gonna say this is gonna be our disk 2, and then choose the appropriate drive, which is our third drive. Same thing, rename, copy, cancel, right click for paste. Oh, I think I went a little bit too far here. Dev disk by ID / all right. So that's our second data disk. We're gonna go for our third. All right. Remove this drive because it's not the appropriate one, and same thing for our last disk. Copy, cancel, paste. So we have Parity 1, disk 2, disk 3, and now we also have to put the MERGERFS pooling utility so that we can have all of our data disk into one mount point. And to do this, I'm gonna leave all these commands in the description so you can just copy and paste them directly from there. All right, so we're gonna see what we got here. So this is a little bit of more advanced configuration, so you can just copy the exact command and just paste it in there. I'm just gonna explain it real quickly what it does. So basically, by naming all the disks with the same names, like you see here, I did disk 1, disk 2, disk 3. It allows me to just create one line of configuration and just put this little asterisk here, and it's basically telling the configuration that you're grabbing all of the same name. So if you name your disk in another way, you can just either go back and rename your mount points, or just do it like this and you'll get the same result. We're going to be mounting those disks, all of those disks, in this case 3, into the mount storage, and we're going to be using the file system fuse MERGERFS. Direct IO is just setting that is telling the server to directly access the hard drives. We're going to say default, allow other. All of this is okay. Create MFS. So here where it says minimum free space, basically the file system is gonna leave a buffer on all of your hard drives of at least 10 gigs, so that way your hard drives are not like 99.9 full. You have a little bit of headroom to like play with. FS name, MERGERFS, and the rest is good. All right, so once that's done, we're just gonna go ahead and click Control O to write the changes. Just hit enter and then Control X to exit. All right, so now that we have created that, we have to reboot and see that our mount points work. So we just go and hit reboot. That's gonna reboot the server. Let's see what it's doing. Here we go. All right, so we don't need this anymore. Gonna go back here and we just hit R to restart the session. Log in with your username. All right, we're gonna give ourselves root access again. I'm just gonna clear. All right. So next thing that we need to do is we need to set the permissions in our mount points so that when we create our shares in Windows, we have access to write and read from them. And to do that, we're gonna go back here in the Explorer. We're gonna go check our mount points here. So we have disk 1, 2, 3, Parity 1, and storage. As you can see, we can access them here. Parity 1 is good. Disk 3 is all good. Disk 2, don't mind this lost and found. That's just part of Linux file system. Disk 1, all right, everything looks good. And so we're gonna go ahead and check the permissions. So we're gonna list the items again, ls-la dev disk by ID. No, actually, it's not that. That's mount point. There we go. Okay, so we have some permissions here. Another way of seeing them is here. As you can see, we have user, all access, group. We don't have access to write or read, so for other groups, so I'm gonna be changing that now. To do that, we're gonna use the command chmod -r for recursive. That means that everything that is on this directory, and if there's already files in there, is gonna have the same permission set. We're gonna choose 777 to have read and write access for everyone, and then we're just gonna choose the mount point that we want. So that's mnt-disk1, and then we'll go ahead and hit enter. Now if we list the contents again, you're gonna see now that there's like a green little thing here. That means that everyone has access. If you're concerned about security, then you can put more specific permissions, but for this tutorial, so that we can set it up, it's just a home server, it's okay. So we're gonna repeat the same thing with our other drives. So chmod, remember arrow up to come back to our previous commands. So we're gonna go ahead and hit disk 2, enter. Disk 3, Parity 1, Parity 1, and also storage, even though it's already set. Storage. All right, so we will list our items now. You see that everything is green, so we're good. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so you get notified first. And stay tuned for our next video, where I'm going to be showing you how to install SnapRaid, how to configure your shares, and how to install Plex Media Server. So, see you on the next one.